these fucking writing prompts that I'm reading are like, they're incredible. They're like, they start off with like a broad suggestion that already is good enough. And then they get into like some really specific shit, and it's like, oh my god, like I can vividly imagine what this story would be. Like, even if I don't have an idea for it. Listen to this. I'm not going to answer this one, but listen. Number 30. Look at some photographs of your childhood. Look at the pictures of your old room, the clothes you wore, and the places you had been. Try to remember a friend from that time period and describe the first memory of a time when they pressured you or made you feel uncomfortable or angry. Like, whoa. Like, it starts off just like, yeah, remembering your childhood. And I'm like, oh, I could write about that. You know, that it's like, oh, remember a friend. Okay, yeah, that's easy enough. Now, remember when they pressured you or made you angry. And I'm like, oh my god, this is real drama. Like, this is great. But I'm not going to cover that. I will cover, however, write about your favorite trip or journey and how that high level of happiness was eventually threatened. I'm not going to cover the last part because that didn't happen. But I do want to talk about the trip I took around the United States recently. I haven't said too much about like the trip in a broad sense and like what I got out of it. I've talked about like what the traveling was like, especially the driving experiences, and like what each individual place was like. But like what it gave me on the whole was a feeling of that I could go anywhere, anytime. And I had always kind of thought that should be the case. Like, I can do my job from any place. You know, I've known this since I started it. And, like, back in 2013, when I first was, like, taking off as a YouTuber, I remember having it in my head that, like, oh my god, I could drive to random friends' houses across the country and, like, do my job from there. I could go anywhere, man. But I was terrified of doing it, because I hated... First of all, I've never been a huge fan of driving until this trip. Now I have no problems with driving. I drive all the time. Like, doing all those super long drives, like, completely cured my disdain for driving, and it made me way better at it. Like, I was never a great driver. Now I'm way better, generally confident behind the wheel. I don't fuck up very much at all. The only thing I fuck up is parking. But yeah, I just became, like, way more into driving. And I have no, like, fear of traveling. I have no, like, fear of showing up at a place and not knowing what it is, you know, or, like, not being able to get back home easily, because I know you can get back home. Like, it's really hard. If you have money, it's really hard to fuck yourself too bad, you know? Like, let's say I flew out to fucking, you know, the Philippines and ghost lighting, like, not with ghost, well, okay, that's a bad example because he lives there. Let's say I flew to Thailand, you know, and I lose my plane tickets to get home. I can buy new ones. Or, let's say I lose all my money. My dad can buy me a plane ticket home. Let's say me and my dad have lost all our money somehow. Like, you have to get to that point before it becomes like, I can't get home, you know? Even if those both happened, if I'm still internet famous, I can do a fundraiser to get myself home, you know? Like, you have to be really, really, really fucked in order to not be able to make it back, or like get yourself into a really bad situation. And I'm pretty savvy, I think, when it comes to, like, not putting myself in the wrong place at the wrong time, you know? But, yeah, like, traveling so much gave me a ton of confidence. It made me feel like I'm a badass and nobody can tell me what to do, essentially. Like, I drove this 10-hour drive to May's house to get puss, and I got it, and it was great. Like, that was the experience. I, like, left home with all my shit, drove 10 hours to a girl's house, and fucked her. First time I'd had sex in 3 years, however long, about a little over 3 years. That sounds right. So, yeah, I immediately, like, think about the empowerment of that. That, like, 3 years of not having a girlfriend, not getting any, wanting desperately to fuck, not fucking. And this girl who I've been Snapchat talking to for a while at this point, all I had to do was drive up there. That was it. We've been Snapchatting for months, trying to plan a trip. Like, oh, she was gonna fly. She was originally gonna fly down to my house, which she did end up doing. But, like, I could have at any point just drove 10 hours up to New York in a day, got my nut for however many days I could afford to stay in a hotel, and drove home. And I could have done that any time. I could have just, it really just depends how much money I have. Like, do I have the money to make the drive? Do I have the money for a hotel? I didn't even need a hotel the first couple nights because we were, her dad was out of town. And, yeah, but, like, that was all it took. And realizing that just, like, using the power I have, the strength I have, I can get what I want, that I can't get at home, is a powerful feeling. And then to drive from there to, like, all my friends, like these friends who, we have to organize a whole event for me to see my friends. Like, RadCon. It's like you gotta fund 9 people to take time off from, like, work or school, or, like, find an opening in their schedules to all fucking fly down to one house and live in the same place for a week, and just, it's absolute hell living with all those people in one space for so long with one car. And it's like I had to go through that or go to a convention that they happen to be going to. All this just to see my friends. Or I can just drive to their house in the course of an afternoon. Yeah, sure, it's a 7-hour drive, but that's an afternoon. And then you're there, hanging out with your friend for as long as they'll have you. It's not that big a deal. It takes a lot of, like, getting yourself mentally in the mood, and I still don't like traveling enough that I'm going to do it all the fucking time. Like, I much prefer to be at home, and I have plenty of stuff to do at home. Like, after having taken that trip, I have not been desperate to see my friends again. Like, I have not been like, oh man, we gotta do this again sometime. I'm like, I'm enjoying the married life, at home. Like, I'm enjoying the time with the girl. I'm not super desperate for male attention right now. I wasn't even when I took the journey, because first I went to May's place. We fell in love immediately. Well, she was already in love with me, but I fell in love with her immediately. And, like, the whole rest of my trip, I just wanted to get back. Like, the whole rest of the trip, I was just thinking about her. I didn't want to be hanging out with my friends, but I had a great time with them, But, like, that's how easy it is. Just drive. Just drive there. Just go. Just get on a fucking plane and go. Like, plane tickets are expensive, and, I wouldn't just buy them willy-nilly, but, like, if I want to go somewhere, get on a fucking plane and go there. Like, spend the little bit of... I have a really hard time dropping a lot of money on anything, but, like, I have the money, so, like, when it comes down to it, like, I just need to stop fucking crying about how much it costs and just do the thing, and then I'll be able to do the thing I want to do, So yeah, I would say that generally travel is empowering, especially if you do it well and you succeed, and it makes you realize, like, the parameters of what you can do. Like, yeah, it's pretty easy to get a hotel anywhere, oh, it's pretty easy to travel with all my shit. Like, I traveled with literally all of my equipment, packed up into a couple of suitcases, and people were telling me, like, what if you get them stolen? And I'm like, I'm not a fucking idiot. I'm not gonna get my shit. Like, how is it gonna get stolen if it's always either in a locked hotel room or in a car that I'm currently driving? Why would my stuff get stolen? It is as safe as if it was in my house. My stuff could get stolen because somebody could break into my house. you know? Anyway, point being, it was a very liberating experience, and it made me feel as though there were no limitations on my life. You know, I choose to sit around at home with my girlfriend and fuck instead of driving across state to do something because we're having enough fun at home. You know, today we had mind-blowing sex like 4 times and watched all of New Game Season 1. Great day. I did not have to travel 9 hours to make that happen, you know? But if we wanted to do something, that was a long drive, I'd be willing to do it, you know? If it was better than what was going on at home, which is not likely. But maybe one day it will be. Maybe one day we'll find something to distract us from anime and sex.